scenarios, but ultimately that'll be your judgment to determine that. But I can tell you who I believe didn't do it, and that's Lee Harvey Oswald, the person who's been blamed for it for all these years. I do not believe he did it. I don't believe anything of the sort. When you look at the evidence and you see how it all laid and played out, you can see that he was a pawn in a powerful game, and he was a low-level intelligence agent for our country, and I believe that his children still live today, and that it's high time that their father be cleared of these charges that he's been saddled with without a trial. I remember I did Tom Sullivan a week or so ago on Fox Business News, and they did the lead-in, and the lead-in said, "Convicted killer Lee Harvey Oswald." And as soon as it got to me, I said, "Tom, see what you guys in mainstream media do? Convicted killer." I said, Lee Harvey Oswald was never convicted of jaywalking. He was never convicted of this crime. He might have been convicted in the public opinion by mainstream media, but he was never convicted. No one was ever put under oath. No trial ever took place, except the Garrison trial, which that didn't try Lee Harvey Oswald, that tried Clay Shaw. And thank goodness for that. The trial was a failure, but it was also a success, because had Jim Garrison not did that trial in the latter 60s in New Orleans, we would have never seen the Zapruder film. Why? If it's what they told us, why would they hide documents and film from us? That's what I always question. If the official story is official, and not just to protect officials, that's why they call it the official story. If the official story is what they say it is, why would they feel a need to cover up anything? The truth is what it is. I always love to tell people about my run for governor here in our great state. I tell them that I never once used a prepared speech, and they're astounded over that. And I go, well, it's really not hard. It's not difficult. If you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory. You don't have to remember what you said yesterday if you're telling the truth, because the truth is what it is. It is what it is. And if you tell the truth, you don't need a great memory, because you know what the truth is. And in this case, I think that, and then we'll open for Q&A. You know, I don't want to just sit here and give you rhetoric all night. We'll hear what you want to talk about and try to discuss that. But this is an important event even today, and I'll tell you why. And again, remember the word they. I can't rightly tell you who they are. But remember this, if they can get away with killing our president and hide it from us for 50 years now, what can't they get away with? And that's really the essence of the book, and why we still, for young people, that some are here who weren't even close to being alive when John Kennedy lived, it's still important to you today. Because if they can do that, they are still getting away with it. And it's time for the truth on this. When you read this book, you're going to be astounded, and it's going to be laughable, a lot of things. When you read it, you go, you got to be kidding. But a lot of it is going to be new news to you, unless you're an aficionado of it, which some people are. I know a few here in the crowd, but I can look at it and know they are. But you're going to see things in this book, if you're not, that you're going to say, why wasn't I told this? Why wasn't I made aware of these things? Like the fact that, I'll give you a quick one, the automobile, the car, the Kennedy limo, that's a crime scene. Everybody watches TV at night and sees all these cop shows. You don't have to be a police officer to know what happens. What happens? They put the yellow tape around it, right? Nobody's allowed to touch nothing till forensic and all the scientists get through with it. They need to gather evidence. Well, the president's car was a crime scene. When they drove him to Parkland Hospital in an attempt to save his life and took him inside there, yellow tape should have gone around that car immediately. It should not have been touched or moved from the Parkland Hospital parking lot where they sped to try to save the president's life. Well, Monday morning, and we have the witnesses, we have the quotes and everything in there. Monday morning, that crime scene was in Detroit, Michigan at the Ford Motor Plant being totally refurbished. No one got to see it. No one got to go through it. No one got to do anything with it. Now that is just plain obstruction of justice, correct? Well, that was on orders of the new president, Lyndon Johnson. Now, you're telling me the president doesn't know about the yellow tape? They want me to buy in the fact that he was so emotionally moved, that he felt so distraught or whatever, that he felt we've got to get this car refurbished as fast as possible. The American people, that's more important than having forensic people go through this car and see where bullets came out and if there was, you know, anything in this car with brains and blood and everything else that went on in this murder at the crime scene. You know, remember, they even usually draw that figure of where the body was, right? Everybody here's seen Mr. Mom, right? When what's his name lays down and gets into the, you know. But I mean, we can chuckle at it, but you know, this thing was a serious breach of standard operating procedures of a homicide. And this is the President of the United States, for God's sake. This isn't just a homicide. This is the leader of our country. And such sloppy police work and sloppiness could be accepted? Well, it wasn't. Only because it was by design that all this went on. So that's a few of the things I think one thing we do in the book I want to mention, if you're internet crazy like everyone is today, at the end of certain paragraphs, we show you and tell you where you can lock right in on the internet. And you can bring these things up yourself, this evidence, and you can read it or see it yourself. And one of the most dynamic is there is now tape out there of one of the Secret Service. Whenever you look for a conspiracy, look for the violation of standard operating procedures, whether it's military or civilian. That's how government runs. Well, standard operating procedure of the Secret Service, they ride on the president's bumper. And you can see the tape of this young Secret Service man getting on the bumper, being ordered off by his superior, and he throws his hands out wide, palms to the heavens, and you can just imagine he's going, what's going on here? You know, I've been trained, I'm supposed to get on the bumper of this car. That's standard operating. Why am I being ordered off the president's bumper? And you can watch it yourself, so come to your own conclusion on it. When you watch him being ordered off where he should have been riding. And we give you the name of the superior who ordered him off in the book. Probably they're not alive anymore, most likely, because I was 12 when it happened. And I went on, I had the ability, I didn't do it, but I had the ability to go on Social Security this year. Something you really love bragging about. Anyway, on that note, I hope you enjoyed the book. I think you're going to find it a phenomenal read. It's as good as anything Clancy or any of them guys can write, because the people are real. And often, let me finish with this, often they say in this conspiracies that, well, if it was a conspiracy, someone would have talked, right? Right? People have talked. It's just that the media hasn't reported it. People talk and it's greeted with silence. And I'll give you the best example. Richard M. Nixon, our president, in his infamous Watergate tapes, it's right on the tapes. Nixon states on the tapes that the Warren Commission was the biggest hoax ever perpetrated on the American people. Now, this isn't Jesse Ventura telling you this. This is the tapes of President Richard Nixon. He says it, not me. So it was obviously of his opinion, and he was kind of an insider, I would think, that it was the biggest hoax ever perpetrated on the American people. So people have talked, ladies and gentlemen. It's just that our media hasn't reported on it and hasn't listened over 50 years. Plenty of people have talked and spoken, and they deserve great credit for telling the truth, because I'll just finish with this and then we'll take questions. Isn't it amazing how today they've made the word truth bad? If you're a truther now, you're like a conspiracy theorist. And those are all bad connotations. How can they make the word truth bad? That's one of the most remarkable morphs I've ever seen. That they're now capable of doing that to us. That the word truth now has a bad connotation to it. Ooh, you mean you tell the truth? Well, by God, then I better watch you close. You tell the truth. We're putting you under surveillance. You're hella You tell. Well, I'll tell you this. I must be under a lot of surveillance tonight. So as I leave the building tonight, I'll wave. You know, wherever they got me under surveillance and all that. Because I'll tell you, I never thought I'd see the day where the word truth could have a bad connotation, where they call you a truther or something, which I'm not. I don't join any groups. I do my own research and come to my own opinions. So we'll open up for some Q&A if anybody's got anything.